Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the Houston Rockets in tonight's video. They're coming off a huge win. Their first big, nice win of the season comes on the road. Fourth quarter comeback against the Milwaukee Bucks, led by Giannis Antetokounmpo. And 122-115, 6-3. Tough loss a couple of nights ago, Friday night, I believe, against the San Antonio Spurs. And this is, look, Houston was winning some basketball games, right? You had the Nets, you had the Grizzlies recently, Dallas was in there, the Tatumless Boston Celtics were in there. And every metric was telling you, like, first game against OKC, double overtime, right? Second game, tough loss, but a close one against Detroit. So Houston's sitting here at like 5-2 on a 5-game heater, and every advanced analytic would tell you this team is legit, but they had just yet to really have one of those nice wins. And you can't pick your schedule, you can't pick who's injured. So going on the road against Milwaukee and getting that win and putting up 40 points in the fourth quarter. KD was money, Sengun was money, Reed was money. It's just the first great win for this Rockets team. Now, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of different stuff in this video, so be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for a couple of Rockets content every single week. And yeah, let's shoot for 100 likes on this video. I appreciate y'all pulling up here. All right. One big difference I've noticed with Houston this season has been the bench mob. Now, whether it's Steven Adams getting rebounds, whether it's Clint Capella, Reed Sheppard, Tari Eason making threes, this bench is reliable. And it's really funny. Funny is not really the best word for it, but you lose Freddie Double V in the offseason, and it kind of complicates the whole roster, and you trade for Kevin Durant, and you see a couple of guys like Cam Whitmore, for example, depart, and you're thinking, like, maybe that bench is a little bit thin, right? Especially that backup point guard position. But the Rockets bench this season has been a huge catalyst to their success. Like, for example, Steven Adams, he leads the league in the NBA, the entire NBA, the entire National Basketball Association in offensive rebounds per game. He's averaging 22 minutes. He leads the NBA in offensive rebounds, but he's playing 22 minutes. He's getting 8 offensive rebounds per 75 possessions. Folks, that would be an NBA record. All right, you look at the double big backups. Clint Capella. All right, Clint Capella, his minutes are a little bit fluctuated, right? And if he just looking grand scheme, if he were to play enough minutes to qualify, he would be even better than Steven Adams. He's currently averaging 10 offensive rebounds per 75 possessions. All right, we take a look at Reed Sheppard. Reed Sheppard is marinating nicely, and we're going to talk about him a little bit later on in this video. But he's the third among players with 0 starts in box plus minus. He's averaging 19 points, 5.5 assists, 4.5 threes, 2.5 steals per 75 possessions. And I get it. This is, we're kind of getting advanced here with the 75 possession statistic. Tari Eason, he's also averaging 17 points per 75 possessions. He's also shooting above 500 or above 50% from downtown. So this bench mob has been phenomenal. All right, and then we look at the starters, and I'll use the Milwaukee game as a good example. Well, you go out there and you pick up Kevin Durant, right? So what do you expect Kevin Durant to do? Well, he's going to get you easy buckets, and he's also going to be a closer. The Houston Rockets really desperately needed a closer last season. Now, in the regular season, you can kind of get away with it, but in the playoffs, it becomes evident. And I love Jalen Green, and I wish him nothing but the absolute best. But as far as being a closer like he's supposed to be for this Houston team, he wasn't. So when we look at that fourth quarter against the Milwaukee Bucks, well, here's the thing. Alperen Sengun didn't miss a shot in the fourth quarter. 10 points, including the game sealer on an and one. 4-4 from the field for Sengun in the fourth. Kevin Durant, 7 points, and he shot a perfect 2-2 from the field. He also had 4 assists. So, we've talked a lot, and people have talked a lot about how you can't double team Sengun, you can't double team Kevin Durant, or if you choose to double team, it really opens up a bunch of different options for this Rockets offense, because all these guys can do, really just a whole bunch of different things. But Sengun's been a great closer this season, and Kevin Durant getting out of that shooting slump, he was perfect, literally and figuratively. Him and Sengun were perfect on Sunday afternoon against Milwaukee. Now, personally, like the biggest thing, Amen's getting it going. Kogi's been great. Jabari's been solid. Reed Sheppard is one of these players where on this channel, I sent out some tweets about it. You can follow the Twitter down below. I feel like Rockets media really doesn't give Reed Sheppard the benefit of the doubt. And I'm not talking about like actual credential Rockets media members. And I'm not trying to go at anybody here. It's easy to pick on Reed Sheppard, specifically last season. But you have to keep in mind, like, Reed Sheppard, I'm 26. The dude looks like a kid to me out there. I hate that I'm getting older, but Reed looks like a kid. And so you're going to have good games, you're going to have bad games, and it's going to be very inconsistent. But if the Rockets want to have long-term success this season, you're going to need Reed Sheppard to be consistent. So in that game against Milwaukee, especially in the fourth quarter, he was absolutely money. 16 points. He shot 6 of 10 from the field. He was 4 of 6 from downtown. Most importantly, he had 4 steals and a block. Reed Sheppard was... he's almost like a guy you kind of forget about. If you're the Milwaukee Bucks getting into crunch time, you kind of forget about Reed Sheppard. He was constantly in the right place at the right time. And even looking at Twitter now, people are still giving Reed flack. And look, man, I compared him to J.J. McCarthy. We always compare him to J.J. McCarthy, which maybe that's not the best example because they just lost on Sunday. But whatever. He's so young. You gotta give these kids reps. So I'm loving the Reed Sheppard ascension. And then Alperen Sengun is looking like an MVP candidate. Against Milwaukee, 23 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. Through 9 games, Sengun is a legitimate, literal MVP candidate. I say time and time again on this channel, like, no disrespect, obviously, to Kevin Durant. But at this point in his career, you don't want Kevin Durant being your actual best player on the team, all right? And what I mean by that is, Kevin Durant's one of the most talented players in basketball of all time, but Alperen Sengun, he's the franchise. All right, he's the face of the franchise. He's the leader. He's the communicator. I like how involved he is. His play backs it up. His defense has taken a huge step. His playmaking has taken a huge step. His three-point shot has taken a huge step. Alperen Sengun looks like the Rockets franchise guy that we have kind of been saying / anticipating for the last couple of years. All right. So Houston is now 6-3. They've got the 3rd best offense in the NBA. They're still 1st in 3-point shooting. They're 7th in defensive scoring. So they're a top 10 offense and defense. And now after that win against Milwaukee, now I think things are about to get fun. Now this week's a little underwhelming. You got Washington on Wednesday. You got Portland. Actually, you know what? Portland's playing well. Orlando's a talented team. So 6-3, loaded Western Conference. That's all I got for you guys tonight, but I appreciate you pulling up. Hit that like button. Hit that sub button. Sorry, I just hit the mic. And let me know your thoughts on the 6-3 Rockets. Peace.